I call the meeting to order. This is the July 13th, 2026 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to first accept a motion to approve the minutes from the June 8th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from June 8th.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? Vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. Chair, at this point in time, it wasn't exactly, we usually do the call to the call to order and the attendance at the same.
Oh, okay.
So if you could maybe just have the people call
Okay,
out.
why doesn't everyone just announce himself or herself?
Mike Brooks.
Bree Stocker Smart.
Chris Kobieski.
Joe Caleo.
And Andy Doctoroff. So we will now get to the three appeals before us tonight. The first one is the matter of consideration of proposed variance by Alyssa Demick at 10777 LaSalle. And that's it. So, Hank, do you want to, or do you want to?
We'll let her start, and then I'll go, and then if she has anything that she feels I'm
Sure.
forgetting, she's certainly welcome to.
Thank you. Yeah, so the variance request is for a sunroom, my sunroom that's been there at my house for maybe 100 years now. And so the problem with the sunroom is I haven't been able to use it pretty much since I bought the house because it's infested with carpenter ants. So I've never been able to put anything nice in there because I always have to spray and they come back. And it just kind of grossed me out after I had, so like every May, there'd be like 200 carpenter ants flying in there. And they stopped coming back actually the last couple of years. I didn't see them, but they weren't gone. Yeah. So I was initially going to, the room is kind of on a slant like the floor, so I was just going to repair the floor and the windows, because it's very old windows in there, so if I was going to spend any money, I wanted to do it right. And when they lifted up the floor, there was, all the boards underneath the floor were completely gone, and there was, it was just really bad. So they had to pretty much, I'm going to pretty much have to redo the entirety of the sunroom. So I can finally use it. And so nothing is changing as far as the dimensions. It is 2 feet 3 inches from my neighbor's property. And I know the variance is 5 feet. So I'm just looking to repair the damage that was done and make the room usable again. And no changes in the dimensions.
Anything else you'd like to add before we ask Hank for his contribution?
I don't believe so.
So Hank, just for clarity's sake, this is to redo an existing structure that has been there all along, that was that was not in compliance with the regs
That is
at the time.
correct. That is correct. What happened was, Mr. Chair, is that they started out, this was going to be a repair job and a simple window job. And as they started getting into this evolved to the point where the structure was no longer safe. This has been an integral part of her home since the get-go. I mean, I have no evidence to say that this wasn't original on the house. The 2.3 feet setback to the side was there. So they're not asking for anything more than they already had. They're just asking for the permission to put it back what it is. So you're looking at a 2.7 foot variance to allow it to be there. The reason that it came before you is that they had started on it and then found the problem. So they had to rebuild this. And as the thing with any non-conforming structure, the hope is that it originally goes away. The difference in this one is that this particular structure is part of the house. So it's not like it was an add-on deck or it was something like that. This is actually part of the physical structure, and as a result, she wants to put it back. I mean, this is so much so, I mean, she pays taxes on this part of the structure. So it's not a porch. It's
The record, can you take us through the 4 criteria and assess how you
Of course.
comply?
So what we're looking at here with this, let me get this for you. So when you're looking at this from the criteria that we have in order to approve the dimensional variance, so what you're looking at is, look at this, I put it back the wrong way. So it's the historic one. Yeah, hold on just a second here, let me pull this up.
This one? I'm gonna give you this one.
The ZBA, I can grab one from right here.
Here.
I had three of them. Thank you. So we have the four typical criteria. So one is that the property could, well, that's a use variance. So we're on this page. The standards are is that the condition or situation is unique and not shared by neighboring properties in the same zone. The legal nonconforming status of the house and the setback for what it is unique. We know of no other houses that are within the setback or were built less than the 5 from the side lot line. The thing is that this was here, and it clearly is unique, but I can't say that it's shared by a neighboring property, which is one of the criteria for this, like it shouldn't be, say, or shared by everybody.
Sure.
So that makes that different. The second is the variance would not be significantly detrimental to the adjacent property, the surrounding neighborhood, or the community at large. That's been like that for decades. Nobody's complained, the neighbor hasn't complained, the neighbor was in the notice area, as were many other people, and I've had absolutely no responses as far as that. Most people walk by this, like when you walk by this on the front, which I do, I'm actually in the notice area, but when you walk by, you can't even see it. So that's one of the things. The practical difficulty was not created by an action of the applicant, neither existed at the time of the adoption of the requirement from which the variance is requested, or is necessary as a result of a government action such as road widening or something in that order. When she bought the house, it was like that. So she purchased the house, she's trying to use her house, she's getting ready to put some money into the house, and the house isn't being cooperative at this point. So she's looking for a little bit of help on that, but she wasn't the one that created the location of the house on the lot, the size of the lot, and the plans or the placement, and she did not build the original structure. And then the fourth one is the variance is the minimum necessary to permit reasonable use of land and buildings. So when you take a look at this one, what you find is that she's not asking for anything more than what she had. So what she is asking for is just what she had. And she wants to replace the components of that structure that are in disrepair or unusable and quite frankly unsafe.
Thank you. Is that it at this point?
Yeah, that's fine unless she wants to add something to that.
I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Anyone from the public? I'll open up to public participation or comment. Since no one is, oh, here you go.
I wasn't going to comment on this one, but I just do want to say that there's no downspouts marked on it. And given that you're so close to the property line and the grades are slightly lower on, I think it's the western neighbor, the code says that when you bring a plan, you're supposed to have the downspouts and have a stormwater management plan. So I don't see any downspouts on it.
You mean like a gutter?
Downspouts, which way are they angled?
Yeah, the part of the gutter that goes down to the ground.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's the downspout.
Oh, the gutter, there is a gutter, it was removed because of the renovation, there is a gutter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other public participation or comment on this one? Thank you. Public participation is now closed. Let's just go around the horseshoe, and see if they have any comments.
I have a question. So as this is written, if we approve it, does that allow for the 2 foot 3 inch, the 2.5 foot setback along the entire property line, or just the?
Specific to this, my suggestion would be is that you give this a conditional approval to put back exactly what she had
Okay,
as far as dimensions, and that would cover you for that.
yeah,
That's a fair question, Mike, yeah.
I mean, I don't really have much to say. To me, this seems very, it's
Yeah.
the classic, grandfathered in. The house
Yeah.
was there, the code was written later, she's rebuilding what's already there.
Thanks, Mike.
I would recommend having a professional exterminator
Yeah.
check out the property, because those carpenter, if they're in the porch, they could be
Yeah.
anywhere,
Yeah,
so.
for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I have nothing. This seems fair to me.
No comments?
Me neither. Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve?
Consistent with what
No.
Hank said?
Motion, yeah. What do we motion?
Motion to approve the variance is.
So that they're, just like it was before.
Yes, the existing, within the existing dimensions that currently are there.
Does that do it, Hank?
Mr. Chair, if I might make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
So a solid motion would be, is that you move to approve the project as presented with the understanding that you're giving them the 2.3-foot variance only for the area that encompasses the existing structure that's going to be replaced.
Do you want to adopt that motion?
I do, but actually,
Yes, yeah.
before I adopt that motion, the downspouts, do we?
Downspouts are a province of the
It's
planning commission.
Planet, yep, that's
Okay.
not us.
Okay, and that'll be handled because they're being replaced.
That'll be handled also because of the building department. We have a building official that looks at that.
Yeah, and she'll replace what was there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's already there, it's just off, right, like, because of the, it's been there for years, like, it's the same gutter that's been there forever.
Does anyone want to make the motion that Hank just read to us?
I do, I can't remember it, though. I was looking for the wording in here.
Well, can we adopt the motion as you just stated it?
Yeah, do we have to restate
You,
it?
you can restate it.
No, we
don't
can't
want
restate
to.
it.
What he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you like me to restate
Yeah,
it?
why
Yes,
don't you
sir.
restate it?
Okay, so you would move to approve the structure
I need a pen.
as presented with a 2.3-foot setback for the existing structure only.
Move
That
to
would suffice.
approve the motion structure as presented with a 2-foot 3-inch setback as was pre-existing in the structure beforehand,
In the same configuration.
in the same configuration.
Okay,
As
anyone want to second
presented.
that?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, any debate or discussion?
Just one point, it's 2.3, not 2 foot, so it's 2.3 feet.
Correct.
Okay, any discussion other than that? All those-
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I need a pen. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for hearing me out.
Does anyone
course.
have a pen?
I have one, but I use it. Wait, why are they not written down
No,
for us
he'll
anymore?
get you one, he'll get you one.
Why are the motions
Thank you,
not
Rosa.
written down for us anymore?
I know, this is under.
Yeah, I can't memorize that. That's too difficult. There were so many words in there. I was like,
Okay, the next matter before us is the matter of consideration of proposed variance by Chris Morgan on behalf of the Baruch family at 13111 Nadine. Would you like to go, sir?
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Chris Morgan, and we're here to discuss a 195 square foot max house size variance for houses in R1C zoning. Hank, are we gonna have the overhead? or not?
I will tell you that my computer will not let me, but I might be able to. Can you get this going for him? I think
You guys have the,
I think I have it from the planning commission, so
that's the old one, but it does, well,
it won't matter. Because
well, I'll start. The only difference between what he's showing you up there and what I have now is we had some additional information we put on here based on Nowak and Frauss's review of the site. So we've added that with some additional general notes and some things like that, which you should have in your packet. So with the site, I just wanted to note that the front yard and side yard setbacks will be maintained to the same size as they currently are. Excuse me one second, I grab my glasses. Okay, that's good. The rear yard, which is currently 65 feet, will be reduced to 55.7 feet At the planning commission, I actually mistakenly said it was 51 feet, but it's gonna be 55.7 feet. And the lot coverage will be 28.61%, so we'll be under the 30% max. One of our goals with this project was the rear yard, the backyard of the house is really the best feature of this property. It's a large backyard. We wanted to take advantage of that as best we could, so we opted to have a long addition across the back of the house, which would allow us to stack the rooms horizontally instead of having a long, deep addition just behind the house. We went behind the garage as well, which shortened the addition, took up less of the backyard, and helps reduce the massing of the home overall. If we take a look at the main level floor plan, so my client, they have 4 kids, they do keep kosher, and they have large family dinners once a month, like 20 to 30 people. So we wanted to create areas for the family to eat meals, gather, have a kitchen that's large enough for them to keep kosher, and then Callie, she works from home, so we created a small office space for her behind the mudroom area. The thing I wanted to point out really is we try to create an efficient flow and not make the rooms overly large. So like Tally's office is 11 by 6'6". The kitchen is 17.5 by 13.5. The nook is 12 by 13.5, and the family room is 18 by 17.5. And then the dining room is long and narrow, it's 12 by 17. So by today's standards, these rooms are not considered overly large, but it accommodates what they need. And then if we look at the second level, again, they have 4 kids, so we needed to create a 4-bedroom home. Currently, the house, I mean, essentially it's a 2-bedroom house. There's kind of a loft area upstairs, but it's essentially a 2-bedroom house. And we needed to create 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a laundry. And so we worked this plan for months and months, making it as efficient as we could. So we have a master bedroom that's 14.5 by 15. Bedrooms 2 and 4 are both 12.5 by 14, and bedroom 3 is 12 by 14. And the laundry room is 6'6" by 9'6", so it's pretty small. And then we just have the 2 bathrooms, so we're not doing en suites or anything like that. But again, we're trying to be as efficient as we could with this. And then if we look at the exteriors, one of the goals was to minimize the massing. They like the colonial look, which is common in Huntington Woods, especially on this block. And so we used a 612 pitch roof, which kept me below the 26-foot height restriction. And it also, by doing the hip roof at the property lines, at the side lot lines, we're minimizing our height. The highest point of the house will be in the very center. And I did flatten that roof out at the top as well, so that it stays below the 26-foot height. Exterior-wise, we did a lot of windows, some brick details, stone. We have a little bit of a standing seam roof on the front, and we carried that theme around the entire exterior of the home. Again, trying to make it a pleasant-looking house. We're not trying to create the Taj Mahal, but we did want to create something that was fitting for the neighborhood. As far as the 4 standards, for unique conditions, we felt the house it's a narrow house. It's long, but it's narrow front to back, and we could only add to the rear yard. So, and it has an attached garage, which is, in Huntington Woods, I feel like probably the majority of homes have detached garages, but this had an attached garage, and it was a 2-bedroom home, and we needed to create a 4-bedroom home. The home to the west, according to the Oakland County records, is a 6-bedroom home. The home to the east is a 4-bedroom home. And we feel like 4-bedroom homes are fairly common in Huntington Woods, at least my experience over the years. And so we had that. As far as it being detrimental to adjacent properties, we feel like due to the fact that we're under on lot coverage, the rear yard is going to be larger than the adjoining properties. The side yard and the front yard are staying the same. We're going to create swales on either side, on the side lot lines, so that we can maintain water flow, stormwater runoff on our property. We'll have all the downspouts run underground and to pop-up drains in the front yard. And like I said, we've got the swales, so we should be able to maintain all of the stormwater runoff on our property. And then with the hip roof lines and everything so that we're not towering over the houses around us. And then, you know, the one house to the east is a ranch, and so that's also the side of our structure that's a one-story structure as well. So we're a ways away from the two-story. Practical difficulty, again, the lot setup, the house goes property line to property line on the sides pretty much, so we couldn't add anywhere else. With the attached garage, the rear yard was the only way to go, and to make the best use of the property, we felt like a horizontal addition was the way to go, but it does probably stretch it out and add a little bit of square footage, but again, we're under on the lot coverage. And because we try to keep the design efficient, the room size is not huge, we feel like this is the minimal amount that we could ask for and be able to give our client everything that they need. And so we feel like granting this variance would just allow them to enjoy the property like a lot of the neighbors do with a 4-bedroom home that fits their needs and allows them to do the things they do with keeping kosher and having large family gatherings. And so.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
So before we go, Hank, I want, a lot of your comments, frankly, because I was on the planning commission for several years, are planning commission arguments, not necessarily zoning variance arguments. So Hank, I'd like you to give us your assessment of this, but sticking, when it's time to the 4 criteria that we apply to give us your assessment or comments.
Absolutely. I think, again, when we go to the first condition, which is the condition or situation is unique and not shared by neighboring properties in the same zone, the issue with that, and I'm going to go back to the survey here to kind of show you, pardon me for, there we go. So if you take a look at the way the house is designed and the way the house is laid out, you see the original house, which is 5.35 on one side and 6.25 on the other. That exists, so the house is long and low on this already. So the proposed addition that's back there is not something that's shared by the houses, and you can see the configuration of the house on either side, and you see that the one house, which is a corner house, goes significantly further back. So this house doesn't go back as far as that goes. How does that relate to a condition that's unique? Because the other house already exists and already comes further back and takes up more square footage on the floor. They didn't do that with this. And then the one for 13123 was also a house that had a little bit different configuration, that they've done that. So where does the house come in with 195 square feet before I get to the second standard? If you take a look at the way this is and you see at the front, you can see where my cursor is, that was an alcove. So all he did was use existing space rather than have an alcove that wouldn't have any light, wouldn't have anything like that. He chose to use that space and incorporate it into the house. Then as far as the back area here, we have the 2 feet by 30 feet across the back. That will go towards the kosher kitchen that they have to have. So, and again, for them, that's a need, not a want. So when you take a look at this, you'll see right here that the kitchen has 2 dishwashers, it has a stove, it has ovens, and it also has a refrigerator. In a kosher kitchen, they're required to have separate, they gotta keep the milk and the meat separate, so they have that. So that goes almost more into the Fair Housing Act. But aside from that, that's the explanation for this square footage and this square footage over here where you can see the alcove is and where it was brought forward from where it originally was. So those spaces there account for quite a bit of it. They couldn't put design-wise and keep it under the 195 square feet by adding the other bedroom back here in the office, because then they wouldn't have any space for an office or the mudroom. Where the garage is, if you take a look at this right here, with this plan, there would be no way to get into the garage from having the back addition on the house. So you wouldn't have a man door, you'd have the man door on the outside, it would be an attached garage, they would have had a door here, but that wouldn't be the same thing, so they wouldn't have the travel. So having said that, let's get back to the other things, because that's the reasons for the 195 square feet, is the way the flow is, the existing house on the site, and the way the existing building is laid out, so that that's why he continued in that fashion, along with the need for a kosher kitchen. And in the kosher kitchen too, you have an island with a sink in it, which is a separate sink. You have 2 sinks for washing stuff. So that would be that. So that island takes up some of the space, which helps project that further back. So then you go to the second, which is a variance would not be significantly detrimental to the adjacent property, the surrounding neighborhood, or the community at large. The house, even with the addition, doesn't come as far back as the neighbor's house. Neither neighbor has had any objection. They were in the notice area for the planning commission, there was no objection. They were in the notice area for the zoning board of appeals, again, no objection. So that was how that came up for the second one. The practical difficulty was not created by an action of the applicant, neither existed at the time of the adoption of the requirement from which the variance is requested, or is necessary as a result of government action such as road widening. Well, we're not widening any roads, but the house did exist prior to their ownership. In fact, it's very recent that that house was purchased, am I correct on that? So they purchased the house with the intent of adding on to it and making it a lifetime house. So why does that matter to the zoning board of appeals? Because the practical difficulty is that the house was laid out in the manner that it was prior to their ownership. And in order to increase it to the square footage that they're entitled to, they had to take some artistic license because you couldn't take the square footage off. If you took the square footage off the master suite, you wouldn't have a master suite. You pretty much have a closet. So those are the kind of the things for that. And then the variance is the minimum necessary to permit reasonable use of the land and buildings. So for a quick second here on that, let me go back to the floor plan here. If you take a look at the floor plan for the second floor, again, pointing out some of the things like not having the ensuite, not having this, still maintaining a second floor furnace, which they have to have on the second floor, because the first floor setup won't take the second floor, and a 4-bedroom house, which is common to everybody else. So when you're saying it's the minimum necessary, they're looking to get that extra bedroom that they don't have now, which everybody else in the neighborhood does. The one neighbor to the one side has 6 bedrooms, the one neighbor to the other side has, was it 4 or 5? I forget which, but I think it was 4. Anyway, so they're asking for what is in the neighborhood. The reasonable use of land and buildings is they just want what's consistent with what's in the neighborhood, and they're looking for the permission from the zoning board of appeals for their 195 square feet, because to not grant that would alter would pretty much alter and render useless the floor plan as Mr. Morgan has drawn it. Having said that, I'll answer whatever questions I can, as I'm sure Mr. Morgan is ready to, and also so is the appellant.
Okay, let's go in the opposite direction. You want to start?
No, I don't have any comments. I think it's a very good plan.
No further questions for me?
I have a question. What's the difference between a study and an office, and why do you need them both? Wouldn't that space wouldn't the office be where the study is, and then that would help us with our square footage issue?
Well, so the study is, the husband's he's a doctor, so he's gonna work out of there. And we have a built-in, that closet we're gonna show, that's gonna be files. So, I mean, yes, could it be converted into a bedroom at some point by someone else, maybe? But, the intent was they were gonna have an office for him, and then she works remotely, for a company out in Wisconsin. So she's home with the kids, and she's gonna work out of that back office, cause she wanted to be in the, kinda more the central area with the kids and stuff, so.
Is it okay if I come to the mic and talk through some more thinking?
Sure.
This is Adam, the homeowner.
Hi.
So some of the considerations as far as the 2 spaces is that sometimes I'm an OBGYN, so I have virtual clinics, like once a week, half a day a week. And so if you can scroll over Hank a little bit to the right, part of the design is around privacy for like HIPAA compliance, is that there's only one way into that room, so that my kids won't be running in the room when people are talking about their STDs and whatever else. And so there are days when my wife and I are both at home working.
Okay.
And then my wife works remotely full-time, and so the part of it is that she is on, if you could scroll over to the left and then up, part of what she was hoping for was that proximity to the kitchen, so that if she's preparing dinner or whatever it might be, that she can be in a meeting, step away, take care of whatever needs to be done in the kitchen, and then pop back in for the next meeting kind of thing. So that's kind of the logic of having, number one, having two different spaces.
Right.
Because we are using them at the same time.
At the same time, gotcha.
And then that's kind of the logic of the ways that they're structured.
Okay. That's helpful, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what's the space in between the office and the kitchen? It looks like it goes to like the outdoor kind of, there's like,
Oh, yeah, so on the right, those are gonna be wardrobes, so closets essentially, but they're gonna be like cabinetry. And then on the left is gonna be a bench with cubbies and stuff for backpacks and jackets for the kids.
so that's more like the mudroom.
That's the
there.
mudroom,
It's
yeah,
like
so you have a hallway.
in out of the garage to the, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just trying to see if we could narrow in some of that, but, I mean, I
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
the way I stepped, like even the pantry and the ovens, I was trying to, everything I could do, we went through this process to try to get whatever square footage. I was shooting for not having to ask for a variance, but I just couldn't
It's
get.
best, right?
I was
But-
gonna have to cut a bedroom. I mean, essentially, it's a bedroom and a bathroom is the square footage where.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. Okay. I'm good. You got
Anything?
anything?
I got nothing, I'm good.
I have a hard time with this one, and I want you guys to tell me why I'm wrong. I think that each, or maybe 3 out of the 4 criteria that we're supposed to apply are close to being, trying to fit round pegs into square holes. I don't see this as something that you didn't create, meaning this is not comparable to the house that we had before us, where she moved into a house with a pre-existing variance.
Sure.
You're building a new house, essentially, or making a house your own. You're designing it to your specifications. And when I think about the minimum, I can't imagine that the square footage has to be that amount and no less, given the fact that it's conceivably possible, subject to the idea that you're not getting everything you want out of a house, of you're shaving off 195 square feet. And I don't want to be someone who is, appearing arbitrary and not neighborly, but I strongly believe that these ordinances and requirements are to be enforced unless all 4 of the criteria are applied in a way that militates strongly in favor of granting the variance. And again, I don't want to be someone, and we only have 5 votes tonight, I don't want to be someone who appears to be, just hard-headed here, but tell me really why this isn't a situation that you created for yourself because you wanted the house that you wanted to satisfy your preferences, I won't call them needs, as opposed to being in a situation like the one that was before us that was truly unavoidable. And so convince me why I'm wrong.
Well, I think, every project, so remodeling is what I primarily
Yeah.
do.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Before you convince me I'm wrong. Tell me about the iterative process that you went through, if any, with Hank to try to get it less than, to shave off those 195 square feet. What did you guys do?
So, well, not so much with Hank as far as but with the client and with the interior designer, honestly, this is probably no exaggeration, this is probably like the 13th version of this layout. And we were, trying to, what can we, so, you know, we have a basement, so we kind of have that basement. We can't narrow the house down. What I would tell you is, initially, if money was no object, you know, if we were to tear this house down and tear the basement out of the ground and then pour a new basement with a different configuration, could I get 200 square feet out of this house by starting from scratch? You know, because obviously you can do a 3,200 square foot house, 4-bedroom house, but with it being a renovation and where certain parameters exist, that makes it, you know, that throws a monkey wrench into the works on that. The thing I feel like personally is, you know, my understanding with variances is one of the things is a hardship, you know, or a practical difficulty. Some places call it practical difficulty. And I feel like a hardship or practical difficulty in this matter is, you know, allowing somebody to have a home that's equivalent to a lot of the homes in that area. Like a 4-bedroom home is, to me, if it's a 2-bedroom home, that's a hardship when a lot of your neighbors have 6 and 4-bedroom homes. That's
With all due respect, that's not the criteria. The criteria is not looking at what your neighbors have or don't have. The criteria is looking at what's down on the page, applying it, and asking yourselves the question, is this the minimum? Could it have been for less? You know, did you create the situation yourself? I personally don't I've never taken into account what's going on with the neighbors on this body. And so that just is not compelling to me. Again, I don't want to be, what would you need to do in order to shave off 195 square
Well,
feet?
if you take one of those bedrooms and the small bathroom, that would be about 200 square feet.
Have you, how big are the bedrooms that you would be taking?
Well, so a 12 by 14 bedroom.
Yeah, what is it?
144 and 24, so that's 168. And then say a 9 by 5 bathroom is 45 square feet. So a basic bathroom and a bedroom would, but then you know, or you have to, you know, these are little kids, you'd have to put one in the basement or something.
Or two in the same room. I mean, the point is, and it's almost a philosophical, but it's also a legal thing.
Yeah.
The criteria are clearly established, and all 4 of them have to be met in order for, I think, this body, or at least me, as a member of this body, to vote to approve a variance. And I think it's, you know, very important for the homeowner's interest to be considered, but it's also very important to make sure that we're scrupulously or appropriately applying the applicable legal standard. And, you know, I want to switch it back to Hank and maybe have you address what I'm saying.
So, I guess the way that you're talking, and I want to preface this by saying, you're not entirely wrong.
That's good.
But I am also going to take a look at the first standard, which says the condition or situation is unique and not shared by neighboring properties in the same zone. That can also be construed that it brings the neighboring properties back into the equation.
Well, Hank, have we
So-
ever, when applying the first criteria, talked about other families on the street having 5 or 4 bedrooms?
Not 5 or 4 bedrooms, but we have talked about other properties having different things. So, and I'm not saying this, and to be very clear, I'm not trying to debate anything. I'm just
happy to
trying to
debate.
give you the rationale for where that came from.
Okay.
So, you know, that's basically what they're looking at, because realistically, if they didn't have a reasonable expectation of getting a bedroom for each kid, they might not have purchased that house. So, having said that, they did purchase the house, they did have the reasonable expectation, they were close on that, so it's gonna be up to you whether you feel that the 195 square feet is a line in the sand that you can't cross, or all of you collectively can't cross. And, you know, the right or wrong here is how you want to interpret that. I don't get a vote.
I know you don't.
I have another question. How big is the closet or dressing area in the upstairs there? That looks like the size of a bedroom.
Well, it's it's like 10 feet wide, but we're gonna do closet, there's gonna be a hallway running through the middle of it to get to the bathroom, connecting the two, so you're gonna have like two 6-foot by 5-foot closets, and then along the wall common to the stairs, we're gonna do some kind of like, linen and maybe like a makeup thing for Tally.
Vanity.
Yeah, so, but you're gonna have like a 3-foot wide or 3.5-foot wide hallway down the middle, that's why I've got the pocket doors lined up. We just haven't, the interior designer was playing around with it, so I just left it blank for right now.
If you take a look at what he's saying, this door right here, that's a pocket door. So that's slides in, that slides in. The closet and dressing area there, the most that you could do with that is you could slide in the master suite and take a little bit out of that area, but even then, you're not gonna get 195 square feet.
Well, and with how the door jogs in, that 14.5 by 15 doesn't take into account that we're losing that corner where the door comes in. Yeah, so, you know, yeah, so it's, when you put the bed in there on the wall to the left, and you put a dresser across from it and 2 nightstands, it's, I mean, the room's pretty full.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
giant room by any
No.
means. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, we just tried to be as efficient as we could,
Yeah.
but again, working against us was the existing house and the existing footprint. And truthfully, if the garage wasn't attached, I could have put things along the side here and I think it reduced the square footage, but then we're talking about, you know, tearing the whole garage down and moving it back and, you know.
No, that's a benefit to have an
Yeah.
attached garage.
I hear you saying that you tried as hard to shave off as much square footage while at the same time giving your client the house that they want. And I think the question really before us is that standing alone enough? Because when you, and I think in most of the matters that we've talked about in the past, when you look at, for instance, the criteria of uniqueness, we're usually talking about the configuration of the lot or something that, you know, is very out of the ordinary. I don't hear that here. When we're talking about, you know, is it the minimum that could be reasonably done, you know, that's subjective, that's discretionary, but I don't know that in applying that standard, we've ever said, well, it's the minimum that we could have done to give the homeowner what he or she wants in order to have the house that they want. And then the not your fault, it's usually something like what we saw with the first applicant tonight, which is it wasn't something of your creation, but this is clearly of your creation in my mind because, you know, you're building the house to your own specifications as opposed to confronting a situation that existed. Now, I understand that you're talking about the foundation, that there were parameters within which you are working that constrict you to a certain extent, but at the same time, the homeowner, with all due respect, sir, voluntarily purchased the house, knowing what that lot size was, knowing what the foundation was like, and you're trying to push the edge of the envelope and, as I say, squeeze the round peg into that square hole. And I'm talking myself into a certain position right now, and I'm waiting for someone to tell me that I'm wrong. Anyone else have any opinion why I'm wrong?
You're not wrong.
I want to be wrong.
I mean, again, I know every board views things differently, but one of my thoughts, and I've been doing this, you know, a while, is that when you have a neighborhood with certain types of homes or whatever, you know, there's precedent set, and there's, you know, you have, and that's always a concern about ZBA, is like, well, if we let you have it, then we gotta let everybody have it.
Correct.
Well, but again, when we're looking at what we're asking for, we're trying to create a 4-bedroom home, which is common, it's on either side of us, and that seems to be a somewhat of a precedent. And we're under on lot coverage, which I know lot coverage is a big thing. I always tell people, you know, you don't want to, lot coverage is a no-no, like, we gotta stay, stormwater runoff.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And so that was part of the parameter too, is like, we wanna not expand the footprint, and I know massing, and the whole idea with the square footage is to reduce massing.
That's why you got past the planning commission,
Yeah.
for those reasons.
But-
But that's not what we're talking about here tonight.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying it drove the, you know, part of the design, it drove the design, and with that driving, you know, something was gonna give, and that was, I think, how we got to where we were. But again, I just feel like we're not asking for more than what the neighbors have, other than a little bit of square footage, but we're creating a house very similar to the house to the west of us, you know?
If only that were the standard. If only that were the standard, this would be easy. That's not the standard, in my respectful opinion. Let me ask you this. If this panel were not to approve this plan, would you go back to the drawing board? And are you telling me that there's nothing possibly you could do other than taking out a bedroom and a bathroom? Nothing you could possibly do?
I don't, to be quite frank, and I have to talk to the client, obviously, but I don't think there's any way I get 4 bedrooms upstairs and take 200 square feet out of this project. I really don't. I mean, again, if they said, hey, we don't need a mudroom, we don't need, Tally doesn't have to have an office, and we can lose that whole back corner and we'll reduce the kitchen and just come directly into the kitchen from the garage, I mean, that's probably what we would have to do.
Maybe
4 bedrooms.
what we can do, Hank,
Yeah.
is table this and see if they can be creative in the next month or so to see whether you can do more to accommodate the homeowner's needs, but at the same time, do more to, I'll use the word respect, but not pejoratively, the ordinances and requirements that I'm having at least a hard time reconciling. And because I would feel much better, frankly, if I knew you gave it the real college try, and, you know, you came back, you worked with Hank, and said, and Hank were able to say there's no way they can do it, and still have a house that comes close to what you want. But I'm not satisfied you've been through that process yet. Maybe you have. You said 13 times, I heard that, but I don't know.
I've got a stack of, yeah, and, I mean, we've been, what, since October, I think?
Yeah.
we started working on this?
Yeah.
Now it's July. We purchased the home in December,
Mhm.
and we've been working together since early January.
Has this issue been part of your discussions?
Absolutely, plenty. I mean, the things that he's describing.
Have you gone over with him or anyone the 4 criteria and how do they apply?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. I think it doesn't directly respond to what you're saying, but just the context is that I live in Ann Arbor right now.
Uh-huh.
We just sold our home. Our goal of moving to Huntington Woods
Mhm.
is essentially because family and community.
Mhm.
Chris already heard this last month, but my brother lives on Talbot. My sister is finishing building a house on LaSalle. My cousin lives on Talbot as well. Childhood friend lives on Balfour. And so we're moving here not to build like an oversized house.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that.
No, but
Yeah, just so you know.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. The goal is to be with people that we care about.
Mhm.
And so like, I know that houses are being built today without a dining room. For us, the dining room is like an essential
I understand.
part. And so like, when I look through this, one of the questions that I have based on your question is like, what could we cut? And like Hank is describing, we could not have a mudroom and we could enter the house through the side into the kitchen. That seems like any detraction from the current structure as I'm looking through it, I'm not sure how it would play out. And so we've honestly spent months, like not a few months, many months, like 7 months working through this. And so if the request or the plan is that we should continue to spend time working through it, obviously we can do that, but it's not clear to me what the changes would or could be.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out we can go down a little bit, that there's the room, the closet is bigger than it needs to be. Partially just the way that the structure is set up, that it makes it challenging to get the configuration where the stairs are. We've moved around the stairs a few times to try to make it more efficient. And so I totally hear everything that you're saying. I don't even disagree with you. It's more just that I'm not sure that if we have more time, we can come to a better result, because I think that we've been working at it a meaningful amount. I think part of it, as you know, can be hard to get a home in Huntington Woods. And so I can promise you, our desire was not to work on any of this.
There's no suggestion coming from me that this is anything other than in good faith. I'm just wrestling with legal and
Sure.
precedent,
No, I
and I'm
understand
having a
that.
hard time doing it. And I think we have discretion,
Of
but
course.
the thing that's preventing me from exercising that discretion right now is that, notwithstanding what you, I'm sure, are accurately saying about the struggle, you haven't been, and you haven't confronted, like, my concern about, you know, these limits. And I don't know whether if you gave it another month, whether you'd be able to shave off more, even if not 195 square feet, so that we know that everyone collectively is doing their darndest to try and respect this requirement, this standard. So I don't want to reject it tonight, but I personally, and it would be much easier if there were more than 5 of us, I'd personally feel comfortable if you were to come back next month and say, yeah, we figured out a way to do it, not asking you to do it on the fly. Or here's what we did for the last month, and we shaved off this amount to show that these requirements are not only being taken seriously, which I know you have, but you've wrestled with them as much as you possibly can. Otherwise, I just don't feel comfortable voting for it. Just so you know, I'm sorry.
And we need all 5 of you.
Tonight.
Oh, we
You
do
need
5.
4.
Oh, we need 4.
You need
Oh,
4.
okay, well, maybe. People don't have to agree with me. So I thought you needed 5.
Yeah, that's planning. You've just been on every
Okay.
board, that's.
Okay, so does anyone have anything else to say about this discussion so far?
I think you brought up some pretty good points, Andy.
So, Mr.
We have
Chair,
public.
perhaps at this point in time, you want to give before a motion to table, you might want to give the owner and Mr. Morgan a chance to see whether they want to vote tonight or whether they want to roll it till the next month.
Your call.
So explain this to me, I guess. If we're denied versus tabled, how does that,
If you're denied versus tabled, table gives you an opportunity to make some alterations and come back. Denied means we would have to go ahead and we would have to renotice everything would have to be noticed, depending on what your adjustments are. If there are anything more than minor adjustments, it may have to go back to the planning commission. So what you may want to do is you may want to, you may want to consider the table, and I'll throw it out there too, is that we're down 2 people tonight. You may have 2 more people.
and if we're tabled and we want to be on the August agenda, when would I have to have the revisions to you by?
We'll put you on the August agenda, but you have to have the revisions long enough for me to take a look at it and give the report. So I'm going to say to you that a little bit of latitude is because it's an adjustment, so it's not the same thing. So if you had, like, let's see here. We're looking for the August 10th meeting. If you could give me, in table, you don't have to have the notice again, so I don't need necessarily the 15 days. So what you may want to do is if you get it to me by the middle of the week of the 27th. Planning Commission's Monday night, the 27th. If you could get it to me that week, like first part of that week, I could still make that happen with the review. So that's up to you folks, if you guys have determined, or you absolutely have a right to have a vote tonight. Your call.
Can I discuss?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know how anyone else is gonna vote, and
Right.
can I say one more thing for you to consider?
Yeah.
Just because I think would inform your discussions. if you were to work with Hank, because Hank's been here, he's listened to this conversation, and he's the expert of all experts, and make sure that he's part of this process, whether it results in 195 feet of reduction or some other amount or none, that would, and I know that you've given it to College Try, that would affect my thinking.
I didn't mean to imply that Hank and I have had 3 or 4 meetings on this project.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is not like,
Okay,
oh, yeah.
We
No,
went
I've
through
had a
this for
lot of
planning.
He's given me a lot of input, and even
Okay.
for tonight's discussion points. that
okay,
was-
okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
so,
You can go out if you don't want us to hear.
what's that?
If you don't want us to hear, you can go
Sidebar.
out.
I'll be loud with my paper. It was both sides too. It was like, ah. No, it wasn't just you, you're good.
I don't know all the rules, so forgive me. Joseph, if I heard you correctly, you're planning on voting no? Did I understand that correctly? Okay. So we will table.
Yep.
We do still do
Do we
public
do,
comment
I don't
or
know, do
no?
we do public
You
comment?
can't, don't have a motion yet, and you still have, until you have a motion, you still have to have public comment.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Public comment.
Well, I'd like to thank you for honoring it. We do have on our master plan, topic number 1 is preserve residential land use and zoning within the core of Huntington Woods. And I'm worried about square footage creep. And I would like to suggest there's a beautiful horizontally oriented large home on Talbot Lane with a kosher kitchen. And maybe you ought to keep your eye on it, because if you need that big of a house. And I'm glad that you recognized it's personal, because I've been in a lot of kosher homes and they have kitchen annexes in the basement. I have a friend who raised 11 kids in a ranch. Her husband wasn't a doctor, he was a rabbi. So, you know, we have to put some boundaries, because we also, in addition to square footage creep, we've got a lot of impermeable surface creep here. And the other thing too, I'm gonna be a little hard on Mr. Morgan, because I see his signs all over the city. There's one right down the street from my house. He didn't bother to put downspouts. It came before the planning commission. Somehow you said downspouts get handled at the planning commission. This passed the planning commission with no downspouts. And it made it here, and it did not pass, the grading review from Noack and Frous. And how Noack and Frous can do grading reviews without downspouts clearly knowing. And so I don't know.
About this project?
Yeah.
Oh, those are vintages.
Let's just keep it to each other, please.
They've been fixed?
Guys, let's keep it just the
Okay.
comments.
Well, it came to the planning commission, these are the requirements, I'll give you to that too, for architects. They're supposed to have a stormwater detention plan, and it came with no detention plan. And I know Hank says he has the right to waive requirements, but we never hear what his reasoning is behind waiving it. And given that this house is so close to the houses next to it, we should know which way the water's going. And the other thing about these big, big houses that get oriented horizontally with the garage underneath it is they're dumping almost half of their water into the city sewer. Maybe you say you're gonna manage it in the yard, I don't know, but, and the last thing I wanna point out on the record, I just wanna point out the sloppy work of our contract engineers, Noack and Frous, who've worked with us for 46 years. I don't know if any of you noticed they're referencing Madison Heights on their paperwork, which they do more often than not, or more often than you think they should. So, and then I just want to, are we going to have one more public comment? A general public comment? Is that available?
Yeah, it's always.
We have a third.
So,
And after, yeah,
so anyway, he's a nice gentleman. I talked to him at the last thing, but you know, every house is different. I mean, every house has its limitations. In Huntington Woods, the lots are only so big. And people create offices in their kitchens, offices in their bedrooms, offices in their basements. And again, kitchen annexes in the and so I'm glad that you recognize that this was personal want and that it didn't meet that requirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your discussions and your thinking next month. Should we have a motion to table, or,
You need the motion and a second.
yeah, does anyone want to make a motion, or not?
Motion to table.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. I'm sorry to inconvenience, I'm sorry that I'm inconveniencing you personally, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Good luck for the next month.
Thank you.
Okay, the next matter is the matter of consideration of variance requests from Helen Shore at 26398 Henry. Hello.
So now I'm terrified.
Don't be, please don't, please don't be. Every house is different.
So,
Okay.
I had a huge deck. One day, I walked off the step and fell through. Got somebody to build me a new deck. Well, actually, we were gonna put on a huge addition, and it was approved with a big new deck in a different place, and we got a variance for that deck. There was a series of extremely unfortunate events, and I'm no longer able to do that. What I want to do basically is put back a smaller version of the deck that I had that was ripped out before the builder that I ended up firing as a birthday present to myself bothered to get a permit because he was too busy all summer. So now I have no deck. I have a little plank off my back door with steps that my husband and I built about 5 years ago before, well, like I said, a series of very unfortunate events, but those steps are starting to crumble and it's getting really, really dangerous to get down. My house is, it's almost a story up. If it were built today, it would be a walkout, but it was built 99 years ago, so it's not. So I need a safe way to get out of my house and get to my garage. I need a safe way to get my dogs out of the house without pulling me down the steps and killing me.
Anything else?
Probably, but I can't think of it right now.
That's fine, we have time. Hank, I just want to make sure I heard what the, I'm sorry,
Helen.
Mrs. Shore, Helen,
Yes.
said that she already several years ago got a variance and now she's looking for something smaller than what the previous
That
variance
is
allowed?
correct. The permit and whatever she had that was approved expired in a year because it wasn't vested.
Okay,
So that's why she's back here. This originally, I'm gonna say,
It was about,
2022.
it was,
Okay.
I was gonna say 4 years ago. I think.
So, yeah, so, and as a result of circumstances, but this was originally approved with a large addition, which they were able to attach a garage to, which would have afforded them another way out of the house, with a bigger deck, which was given the variance for. So what they're looking for now is, as you see on this drawing, okay, they're looking for pretty much, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking for the deck that they had. And all she's
Actually,
looking
less than
for.
the deck that we had, because it was a 2-level deck.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for the second level.
Right, so she's just looking to get out of the house, is basically what it
you
is.
want to take us through the 4 criteria?
Yeah, so when you take a look at this right here, the condition and situation is unique. So why are you here, okay? It's unique because it's a peninsula lot. The address in the small side is on Hendry. So Hendry is the technical front yard. The actual house faces a curve which comes to kind of like a point at the end, and as a result, they're facing that way. So this is actually a deck in a side yard, and because Hendry is technically the front yard, so it's the front yard. So what she can have the deck, if the deck was deemed to be either A, appropriate, or B, that for purposes of interpretation, that the front would be facing the curvature. So whichever way you wanted to go, but the deck itself was what she always had there. And it gives her a
Can we
method of safety to get down, yeah.
Can we see it up here? I don't think we have it
I
in
don't-
our sheet.
Do we have, I can't get into my email on this
Oh, okay.
right now.
Um,
Let me see if I can, I'll try.
What's the amount over the deck? The overage?
The deck's not over.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's,
It's here because it's technically in the front yard.
The one I was approved for 4
Understood.
years ago.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's the
sorry.
same,
Different.
yeah,
Right, right.
it's the same variance.
It's just because
It's
it's
just
the
right here.
corner.
It's just
or
because it's the
peninsula,
corner and
rather.
this is the peninsula and the house
Yeah.
faces this way.
Okay, I see.
If it faced
Yeah.
the front, they wouldn't be having the
Then
discussion.
this wouldn't even be.
Okay, keep on going through the
Yeah,
criteria.
I mean, honestly, I'm in a good spot here.
Okay, so the condition is unique, clearly the lot is unique, and it's like Andy was referencing at the last one, so typically we have something where the lot or the structure on the lot is unique. This would fill that category. 2, the variance should not be significantly detrimental to the adjacent property, the surrounding neighborhood, or the community at large. This already existed. Nobody's complained about it. Nobody complained at the Historic District Commission the last time. Nobody complained at the Zoning Board of Appeals last time, although it wasn't easy getting it through the Zoning Board of Appeals last time. But they did have that, but nobody has complained about this whatsoever, and everybody was noticed within 300 feet. The practical difficulty was not created by an action of the applicant, neither existed at the time of adoption of the requirement from which the variance is requested, or is necessary as a result of government action such as road widening. So the reality of that is that the height, the elevation of the house, the elevation of the floor where the doors come out is at that height. So they have to walk out onto something. So it'd be a landing, a deck, pick one. In this case, for years and years and years and years, it's always been a deck. And that's been there. So that's one of the things that you have with that. A method of egress was always there. And this is the method of egress. So she's not asking for any more or anything like that. In fact, she's asking for way less than was approved at the last meeting, at the last incarnation of the plan here. And then 4, the variance is the minimum necessary to permit reasonable use of the land and buildings. So I guess if you want to take a look at it, for the minimum necessary, this is less than what they got approved for last time. So if you take that into consideration, it's less. They already had more, but they went with less. So that's what they've done. And this is really kind of the minimum necessary for that. The other one was, with a ramp, the plan that was approved had a ramp and an indoor ramp that led down to a garage and a lot of other items along with steps. And it was quite substantial. This is not. They're taking up nowhere near the amount of space that was proposed on the last one.
Thank you.
I kind of remember it.
Anything else?
My neighbor wanted to come tonight to support me, but he's sent me a text that he's stuck at his son's wedding planning meeting.
Thank
But
you.
he wanted the commission to know that they supported me, so.
We appreciate that. Okay, let's
I
go,
do too.
let's go around the shoehorn before we go for public comment. Anything?
I guess the only question I have, it seems pretty cut and dried, you have a builder, but you need a builder? Like,
No,
there's
no,
an
I ha-
issue with
I have-
existing steps?
I fired my previous deck builder, well, it's been through a few iterations. The first builder kind of ghosted us, which actually turned out to be a good thing because my husband got very ill and had a fatal diagnosis
Sorry.
right
Sorry to hear
about a
that.
couple of months later. So that was probably a good thing that he ghosted us because I don't need another 1,100 square feet. We hired another builder just to make the house more accessible because we thought he was gonna live a little bit longer than he did. And he just kind of sat around on his hands and did nothing. And didn't build the deck, and when I asked him in October why he never got the permit, because he had the drawings all summer, he said he didn't have the time. So I told him I didn't have any more time for him, and I hired another builder, a deck builder. So I don't need a builder, I need permission to build.
Thank you.
Good. And your existing steps, are they, it sounds like you're kind of using some steps that are kind of in need of replacement right now, just to get in and out of the house?
So, right now what I have, I think originally the house had some sort of a patio. So there's like 4 concrete steps and a kind of a curve, and then they stop. And my husband and I kind of cobbled together some steps to get up to the deck, which was really kind of like a covered porch. So we cobbled together some steps and a handrail. The handrail got knocked off when the builder decided to demolish the deck and not get a permit. And so there's kind of like a plank, you know, like when you walk the plank ship, with something that sort of resembles a handrail but really isn't. And the steps that we had put in that were meant to last for a winter because we thought we were building an addition. And
Right, soon after.
And they've been through, I think, their 5th winter, so they're not in good shape. My son came over yesterday and pulled out weeds for me from between them. Anyway, my sad story. So I'm just trying to keep it together until I can get the deck built. Because if I can't, I'm going to have a hard time getting out of the house.
Sure. I'm really sorry for what it's worth to hear about all this hardship
Thank you.
you've been through, especially over a deck, with all this other more important things going on. I have no further questions. It's easy, obvious yes for me.
Yep, I have nothing further. It sounds like a great plan, and I'm sorry for.
Thank you.
No questions for me.
I did have a question for Hank. This is going to be subject to the historical district
That's correct.
review?
We weren't able to get a quorum for the last meeting.
Okay,
We have a meeting that is set for Wednesday, actually. So this is one of those ones that would be in reverse, that it would be
Okay.
subject to granting permission from the Historic District Commission and/or complying with Public Act 169, 1970 as amended. And the reason for that is because should there be another situation where the Historic District couldn't get a quorum, there's a provision in the act to deal with that.
What number is that? What section?
Public Act 169 of 1970 is amended.
I have nothing. And again, I think we're all, sorry for your loss and your difficulties. Public comment?
I wasn't going to comment, but, you said it sounds good, and it sounds good, but how does it look? That's my question. Do you guys have access to something in the agenda that we
Not part of
don't
our-
have in the agenda packet?
That is not
No.
our jurisdiction.
We didn't have anything
That's-
on it.
But don't you have to know what you're approving?
They're approving
I just need to
dimensions.
know that,
Dimensions.
yep.
yeah,
That's all
potential.
you have to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, so you only get what is in the agenda packet?
Correct.
Yeah.
Do they ever get anything more than what's in the agenda packet?
Not for
I don't
this,
think
it's a
so.
dimensional variance.
Is it dimensional? Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to
Okay,
look with your.
public comment is closed on this. I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, move to grant the appeal of 26-398 Hendry from section 40-6.03, accessory buildings, structures and uses, to allow a deck and a technical front yard as it satisfies the requirements for dimensional variance and will satisfy the building code, as well do a substantial justice to the applicant, subject to the Historical District Committee approval or meet the requirements of Public Act 169 of 1970 as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the last item of the agenda, public participation. Would anyone like to make any comments? at this point for 2 minutes or less?
So, the city commission meets once a year to review the budget, and for some reason that meeting, of all their meetings, is not recorded, and you have to glean what happened from the minutes. And it's sometimes hard to figure out. Sometimes the paragraph's this big, sometimes it's this big. It did say at the end of the one for 2026, the conversation ended with discussions about future capital planning, technology enhancements, and training opportunities for boards and committees. So again, I don't know what they were talking about there, but I know Board Member Fallon came to the Planning Commission meeting for the joint meeting. He was the only one who came, and he said, hey, you guys got to handle the stormwater issue. So I would like all of you, because I know you also have an additional power to oversee administrative decisions. I don't know if you're like, but, so anyway, I think something needs to happen around stormwater, that they need some training, because even if you look at the plans that come before, and it says it's supposed to have the grades of the neighbors, they don't always position take the grades at the right reading, at the right areas to know which way that water is going to flow. So anyway, if you think your board needs some training, I would ask for it. And if you think the Planning Commission, based on what you see shows up here after it's made it through the Planning Commission, if there's any more recommendations, because again, Ben Falk was the only one who showed up to the joint Planning Commission ZBA meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.